And the Indiana Fever have pulled off the upset, the 6th seed, beating Vegas 89-73 to take game.
Nobody gave the Indiana Fever a shot. ESPN dismissed them. Oddsmakers laughed. Even the back-to-back champion Las Vegas Aces were already eyeing a sweep. But on the same night Aya Wilson was crowned MVP, in front of her own home crowd, the Fever flipped the script. Short-handed and missing 6 players, Indiana stunned the basketball world by stealing Game 1. How did a team written off as dead on arrival change the entire tone of the series with a single win? And what did Caitlin Clark tell her teammates afterward that has everyone buzzing? This wasn't just an upset, it was a declaration. If you're riding with the Fever, drop a fired up in the comments and show this squad some love. What happens when a team limps into the playoffs missing 6 players, written off by every analyst, and staring down the reigning 2-time champions? You get the Indiana Fever's ultimate test of belief. A night scripted for someone else's glory suddenly rewrote itself, becoming their moment.
Matchup, Aces Fever, Game 1. We're not deciding the whole series right now, just Game 1.
Should we do it together?
I think we should do it together because my spidey sense are telling me they might be the same. 3, 2, 1.
Aces.
They're not going to lose after she just won MVP.
Yeah, period.
There's no way.
No way.
From the opening tip, this series was painted as a mismatch. ESPN panels dismissed it as quick and forgettable. Oddsmakers didn't bother debating outcomes, only margins. Headlines spoke in terms of survival, not triumph, making it clear the narrative was already written. The Aces were projected to cruise into another finals. And for Indiana, the bar was set insultingly low, avoid embarrassment, and that would be considered a victory.
Indiana Fever had no business winning a playoff series this year, had no business advancing to the semifinals for the first time in a decade. And yet, here they are, eliminating the Atlanta Dream in Atlanta without Caitlin Clark, without Sophie Cunningham, without Sid Colson, without Erin McDonald, without Chloe Bibby. The hospital squad is on the bench, and yet the Indiana Fever are into the semifinals of the WNBA.
Then came the injury report. Caitlin Clark sidelined. Sophie Cunningham out. Sydney Colson, Chloe BBY, Ari McDonald, Damaris Dantas, all gone. 6 names erased from the rotation. The Fever didn't resemble a playoff contender. They looked like a roster held together with tape. At that point, underdog didn't even fit anymore. Critics framed them as fortunate just to be on the court, as if their season had already expired before the ball was even tipped.
Coaching of Stephanie White. She is working with a 9-woman rotation, and 5 of those players did not even touch the court the last time the Fever played the Dream during the regular season, and 3 of those players weren't even on the team. I cannot say it enough. The Indiana Fever should not be here. They continue to be here. They battle. They're resilient. It's wildly impressive. Caitlin Clark wore the black Air Force Ones again. They had one of those forces lifted in the air like a beacon of hope, and now they'll face...
Picture the scene in Las Vegas before tip-off. Championship banners draped above. The crowd buzzing, ready for another coronation. At center court, the spotlight found Aya Wilson as she held her MVP trophy high. It wasn't just a celebration of her brilliance. It was the confirmation of a script everyone thought they knew. Vegas, the powerhouse. Indiana, the backdrop. For the Fever, this wasn't just being overlooked. In their own semifinal debut, they were treated as if they didn't exist at all.
You actually just referenced it twice. It is Indiana. Dropped 2 of the 3 games to them this year, but you haven't seen them since late July. What excites you about that matchup?
That they haven't seen the real Aces yet. They caught us when we were a bit in turmoil. Not only that, they whooped us one of those stretches. So, you know what? We'll buckle in, hone in where we can, and take care of business.
And yet, sports have a way of tearing up the script when it's written in ink. History is full of underdogs who weren't supposed to be there. Teams dismissed before the first whistle, squads told they didn't belong on the same floor. You could feel those echoes in Las Vegas. This wasn't just game 1 of a playoff series. For Indiana, it was a chance to claim their seat at the table and prove they weren't going anywhere quietly. By the final buzzer, the entire narrative had shattered. The spotlight meant for Aya Wilson's MVP coronation had dimmed, stolen by the very team cast as extras in her story. The Fever walked out of Las Vegas with an 89-73 win, their first semifinal victory in nearly a decade, and left the basketball world staring in disbelief. But the most stunning twist wasn't just Indiana's triumph as a unit. It was one player who turned the night into her own personal stage.
Respect everyone, fear no one. Sounds in the chat. Dumb. That's one. Big time. That's big.
While the spotlight was fixed on Aya Wilson hoisting her MVP trophy, no one saw Kelsey Mitchell coming. The night was scripted for Vegas, the champion's coronation, the easy win at home, the storyline wrapped before tip-off. But Mitchell tore the script in half. She refused to let Indiana fade into the margins and instead painted the semifinal opener as her own masterpiece. By the final horn, the narrative had flipped entirely, and the league was buzzing about her name.
Semifinal appearance. Just what's your emotional state right now?
Normal, I think. It's practice. Trying to prepare like anybody else would, like any other day. But keep the main thing. That's all you can do.
Kelsey Mitchell has long been recognized as one of the league's purest scorers, but too often her name gets tucked behind the WNBA's headliners. Entering this series, the conversations circled around Aya Wilson's dominance, whether Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray would overpower Indiana, and if the Fever could even keep pace. Almost no one framed Mitchell as the player capable of tilting the series. And yet, true to form, she did what she's always done. Cut through the noise, silence the doubt, and let her game deliver the answers.
Your younger self.
Yeah.
How would you explain to her to make sure that you give yourself grace and give you the flowers that you so willingly deserve?
Ooh, I think the best thing I could have done was, I had a list. I had a long list. I wrote down a list of all the times I could have quit, been a pro, playing with the Indiana Fever. I wrote down all the people that wrote me off. I wrote it down on a list. I wrote down all the coaches that didn't want me around. I wrote down all the media outlet that didn't want to talk to me. I think that within itself is like, you gotta tell your younger self not to give up on you, because there's been a lot of times I could have given up when I know a lot of people that talk to me now weren't talking to me, and I know what it was like when they wasn't. So that part is big for me.
Mitchell didn't just score, she scored every way possible. Mid-range pull-ups with defenders draped on her. Deep threes punished the aces the moment they hesitated. At the stripe, she was automatic, drilling all 6 of her free throws. Inside, outside, and everywhere in between, she was untouchable. By the final buzzer, the box score told the story. 34 points on 12 for 23 shooting, 4 of 6 from deep, and perfection at the line. It wasn't just efficient, it was ruthless.
I'm keeping the pivot foot alive and going strong side for Wilson.
Mitchell this time finds a lane to the basket. Inside to Turner. Nice look from Mitchell, which follows 5 Eastern time on ESPN. Mitchell. Lot of arc on that and a couple of...
That 34-point eruption wasn't just a great night. It was history in motion. No Fever player had crossed the 30-point mark in a playoff game since 2012. And no one in WNBA history had ever delivered that kind of scoring punch in their very first semifinal appearance. Mitchell didn't just join the company of legends like Lauren Jackson and Cynthia Cooper. She surpassed them. Think about that. On the road, against the defending champions, on the very night an MVP was being celebrated, she etched her name into the record books and made sure it will never be ignored again.
Done that. 5-point advantage for Indy. Trying to go inside. Terrific defense by Mitchell to deny Lloyd. It's Mitchell, guarded by Evans. Screen from Turner. Kelsey Mitchell knocks down another shot.
No one is accountable for Hall.
Mitchell, come on.
Even from the sideline, The weight of it was undeniable. Caitlin Clark, forced to watch in street clothes, captured the moment with just 2 words on social media. Kelsey, unreal. No speech, no over-explanation, just raw respect. From the league's brightest young star to the veteran who shouldered the load when it mattered most, it was a message that said everything. Mitchell isn't just a scorer for Indiana, she's the heartbeat. And her teammates know it.